Introduction to Genetics and Inheritance, Grade 12, Life Sciences, Part 1 of 12. Okay, so genetics is the study of the inheritance of characteristics or traits that are passed from parents to their offspring or progeny. Progeny is another word for offspring. Okay, so you have a cell. Inside the nucleus of every cell, you find a chromatin network. During the division of the cell, the chromatin network condenses into chromosomes. Okay, there are 46 chromosomes inside each cell of a normal human. Okay, so you have chromosomes inside the nucleus. Okay, this is a chromosome from the nucleus. If you can zoom any part of this chromosome, you are going to see, for example, if you can zoom this part, you are going to see a DNA. Okay, any part, if you can zoom, you are going to see a DNA. And a gene is a segment of a DNA. So a DNA is made up of many genes. Okay, so a gene is a segment of a DNA coding for a particular trait or for a particular characteristic. And a chromosome is a thread-like structure made up of DNA that carries hereditary information in the form of genes. So, what are alleles? Alleles are different forms of a gene which occur at the same locus on homologous chromosomes. And homologous chromosomes are a pair of chromosomes, one from each parent, that have the same genes at the same locus. Okay, homologous chromosomes are a pair of chromosomes, one from each parent. Okay, one from the mother and one from the father. They have the same genes at the same locus. What is a locus? A locus is a position or location of a gene on a chromosome. Now, alleles for different traits on a chromosome. So this is a chromosome. You have alleles on each locus. For example, these alleles can be for the skin color. This one can be for the eye color. This one can be for the hair color. Let's see examples of a gene versus alleles. Okay, so an example of a gene can be eye color, and you have a variation. So the variation of a gene are known as alleles. Okay, the gene is known as eye color. Now you have alleles for brown eyes, alleles for blue eyes, alleles for green eyes, and so on. Okay, another example for a gene, which is the gene for hair color, and you have a variation. Okay, different forms. You can have alleles for blonde hair, alleles for red hair. Okay, and so on. Okay, we carry on with the terminology. So we have alleles. Alleles are of two types: paternal versus maternal, and dominant versus recessive. Okay, paternal from the father, maternal from the mother. Dominant are the alleles which are overpowering. The dominant alleles are expressed in the physical appearance of an individual. Okay, we are going to see that. And the recessive alleles are not expressed in the physical appearance of an individual. Okay, they can only be expressed when the dominant allele is not present. Okay, we are going to see that. We also have multiple alleles. Okay, multiple alleles when you have more than two alternative forms of a gene at the same locus. Example, blood groups are controlled by 3 alleles. You have these 3 alleles. Okay, we are going to see about blood groups in 7 of 12. We are going to see blood groups. For now, you have to know that multiple alleles, it is when you have more than 2 alternative forms of a gene at the same locus. And we also have a dominant allele. A dominant allele is always expressed in the phenotype, and it is represented with an uppercase letter, okay, a capital letter. We are going to see about dominant allele. And you have a recessive allele, which is only expressed in the phenotype when a dominant allele is not present. And a recessive allele is represented using a lowercase letter. Okay, we are going to see this. And you also have genotype, which is the genetic makeup of an organism, showing the alleles that determine the characteristics. Okay, for example, if you are using T for the height, we are going to see about this. So in the word genotype, you have geno for genetic makeup, and we have phenotype, which is the physical appearance of an organism based on the genotype. Okay, example, tall, short, green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes. So all these characteristics are known as phenotype. Okay, and you have homozygous. Okay, homozygous are two identical alleles for a particular characteristic. For example, if you are using T for the height, okay, homo means the same. Okay, two capital letters T or two T, which are lowercase letters. Okay, a homozygous organism is also known as a purebred. And we have heterozygous. Heterozygous are two different alleles for a particular characteristic. Example, we are going to see that. So you have a heterozygous organism, which is also known as a hybrid. So, for example, if you are using T for the height, okay, let me show you. If you are using T for the height, so this is an allele for the height. This will represent a dominant allele when it is a capital letter, and this will represent a recessive allele. So for a recessive allele, you have a lowercase t. This allele will represent tall, and this allele will represent short. Okay, tall is dominant over short. So alleles, they always come in two. Okay, so if you receive one like this from the father and another one like this from the mother, so you have two dominant alleles. This person is going to be tall. Okay, if you have this from the father and this from the mother, okay, a capital letter T and a lowercase t, this person is going to be tall, even though you have a recessive allele for short. So this allele is not expressed. Okay, so you can also have one like this from the father and another one like this from the mother. So this person is going to be short. Okay, short. So this person is going to be short. The person has got two alleles which are recessive. Okay, they can only be expressed in the phenotype. Phenotype is short. They can only be expressed in the phenotype when a dominant allele is not present. Okay, you don't have a dominant allele. Okay, this one, let me erase. We carry on with the terminology. We also have hemophilia, which is a sex-linked condition where blood fails to clot properly. Okay, to clot means to change from liquid to semi-solid. We also have karyotype. A karyotype is the number, shape, and arrangement of all the chromosomes in the nucleus of a somatic cell. So somatic cells are all the cells except the sperm cell and the egg cell. Okay, so this is a karyotype of a male. Okay, human male karyotype. So you have these chromosomes, these two, they are known as gonosomes or sex chromosomes. Okay, you have one pair, which is 2. Okay, one pair is equal to 2 chromosomes. So the X chromosome is longer than the Y chromosome. Okay, you can see that. So for a female, you are going to have X and X. Okay, for a male, you are going to have X and Y. You also have 22 pairs or 44 chromosomes. So these are known as autosomes. So you have 22 pairs, which is 44 chromosomes. Okay, in total, you have 23 pairs, 46 chromosomes. Okay, in each somatic cell, you are going to find 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes. In the gamete, meaning the sperm cell and egg cell, you are going to find 23 chromosomes. Okay, half of this. So sperm cell and egg cell are haploid. Okay, somatic cells are diploid. Okay, diploid meaning they have 2 sets of chromosomes. As you can see, 2 sets, one from the father, one from the mother. Haploid cell, they have 1 set of chromosomes only. Okay, let's move on. So, an Austrian monk named Gregor Mendel is said to be the father of genetics. Okay, this guy. Many of the things that we know about genetics can be attributed to Gregor Mendel. He was born in 1822 and died in 1884. During his lifetime, he published the results of his work on inheritance. However, it is only after his death that scientists rediscovered and understood his work. So, in his investigations, Mendel came up with these 3 laws. Okay, 1, the law of segregation. The law says the characteristics of an organism are controlled by pairs of alleles which separate into different gametes as a result of meiosis. Okay, segregation, you have separate. So, as a parent, you have your alleles. So, they are going to separate. Okay, they are going to separate into different gametes as a result of meiosis. So they are going to separate. This is how you are going to give them as a result of meiosis. So if there is another parent, for example, this, the gamete of this parent, they are also going to separate as a result of meiosis. Okay, they have to separate so that you can give one at a time. So during fertilization, they are going to fuse to make up a zygote. Okay, so segregation means to separate. Okay, so this is the law of segregation. Okay, let's move on. We also have number 2, the law of dominance, which says when 2 homozygous organisms with contrasting characteristics are crossed, all the offspring will display the dominant trait or the dominant characteristic. So, an individual that is heterozygous for a particular characteristic will have the dominant trait as the phenotype. Let me show you. So when two homozygous organisms, for example, two organisms, they are all homozygous, meaning the same, uppercase T, and lowercase t, homozygous. They have contrasting characteristics. This one is tall, this one is short. Contrasting characteristics. Now, if they are crossed, you are going to have this and this. You're going to have this and this, and so on. You're going to have 4 of them. The result is 4 offspring. They all have dominant trait. They are all tall. The recessive allele is not expressed when the dominant allele is present. So all the offspring will display the dominant trait. They are all going to be tall. Heterozygous. If you have an individual that is heterozygous for a particular characteristic, for the height, they will have the dominant trait as the phenotype, physical appearance. They will have the dominant trait as the phenotype. They are going to be tall. Let's move on. So, the third law is the law of independent assortment. So the law says the various alleles controlling the different characteristics are separate entities, not influencing each other in any way and sorting themselves out independently during gamete formation. The various alleles. So what is meant by this? An allele, for example, an allele for red, A, and an allele for brown eyes, they cannot influence each other. Like you end up having red eyes because of the allele for red, A. It cannot happen. Mendel conducted many experiments using pea plants to try and understand how characteristics are inherited. So Gregor Mendel used pea plants for his experiments because 1. They grow quickly, 2. They have characteristics that can be identified easily, and 3. They can self-pollinate or cross-pollinate. So they grow quickly. Mendel did not have to wait for a long time to see the results. This is one reason, and they have characteristics that can be identified easily. So this makes the experiment simple for Mendel. This is the second reason. And 3, they can self-pollinate. This is done naturally by plants. Or cross-pollinate. This is done artificially. The pollen from one plant can be taken and deposited on another plant. This is cross-pollinate. So this is another reason why Mendel used pea plants. Mendel noticed at least 7 characteristics that appeared to be inherited. So you have this table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we are done with part 1 of 12.